Look at these idiots just standing here waiting. They're guarding me. They're literally fucking guarding me. And then this guy allegedly is Internal Affairs. Next to him is Sergeant Miller. And then there's 2 more people back there. I think it's shift change soon. So everyone's getting ready for shift change at 3 o'clock. What's your name?
Detective Eckert.
I don't identify.
Okay.
What would you like?
Okay. Well, I was just trying to confirm your name because I believe I may know who you are and the reason that you came.
Well, do you have an Internal Affairs ID connected to the name Leah? Because all I asked was the ID or the number to the Internal Affairs. Yeah, a case number for my complaint from 2 weeks ago.
Well, an Internal Affairs complaint is issued a case number, but that's all internal. That's not information we would give out to somebody. Okay? If your name is Leah. Well,
how do I follow up on my claim?
Well, I am actually the detective who's assigned that.
Okay. So what do you do? What's your next step if you're the detective that's assigned to a case?
I got the complaint. It came in on the 8th, right? August 8th. Sounds about right to you?
If it's for Leah, then it came in on August 8th. I don't know the date that the complaint you're referring to came in.
Someone made a complaint on behalf of Leah on August 8th. Sergeant Gary Vicente. Okay?
Okay.
If you're not Leah, I'm not at liberty to discuss her investigation with you. Okay?
But I don't know what would you do if I was? Like, what would you even discuss?
Well, you're obviously here. You want some sort of information, correct?
I don't want information. I want to see changes made. Okay. I want to see the officers who have maybe not gotten all the training they need, or maybe forgotten the training, to get retrained.
Okay.
Yeah.
But is this in regard to that specific incident, or is this just in general terms?
I'm here.
Should be held to like the standard that should be set.
Well, the problem with the Clifton Police Department is a lot of officers take assertion and interpret it as aggression, and then respond aggressively to people asserting themselves. But when someone opens their mouth and speaks, whether it's screaming, whether it's shouting, whether it's talking in a whisper, no matter what, we have a right to talk. And all I want to see resolved is that Clifton Police gives everyone a chance to give their voice in an investigation. So telling one person that they can't give any information to a criminal investigation and another person can, that's not justice, right? If someone goes in front of a judge as a defendant and they haven't had an opportunity to make a statement,
they would want to get as much input as they could.
So you would.
Because
so
if
what
you
would you?
Have, if there's an incident that involves 2 people, and I'm going to report, okay, Sergeant Miller stole my car. That's what I'm reporting.
Okay.
Now you speak to him.
So
I guarantee he's going to give you a different take on it, right? Well, no. Maybe Detective Eckert, 2 weeks ago he told me, yeah, just take the car whenever you want, and I forgot.
And maybe you have amnesia, right? Maybe no one's a victim. Whatever, you don't know until you investigate, right? What if you never bothered to investigate? What if you are a victim and no one ever gave you a chance to write a statement?
Right.
Right. That's bad, right?
Okay, is there anything I can help you with right now? Because
yes, I want your officers to take complaints. Sorry, 1 second. That's important information.
Yeah, but this information...
You were holding it out, visible.
Somebody's name on it.
It's visible. Okay. If someone's name's on it, you should hold it like that, right? That's good. That's good. That's better.
On something,
that's better. You're hiding it.
You wouldn't appreciate it.
Right, you're hiding it from the public. I like how you're holding it.
I wouldn't appreciate it.
What I want today is I want to know what actions you will take for officers who silence people who are witnesses to a crime. So are your officers going to go through a training to review the procedures when they show up at an incident so that they let everyone write a statement? Or are they going to just continue doing what they do?
We need to speak to administration here to figure out what steps are in place.
Well, what's the point of internal affairs then? I thought you guys do like conduct like evaluate your training and improve it.
Your questions are in regard to interactions you may have with somebody out on the street. If there's something that's done improperly or violates a policy or procedure or a crime, then you have every right to complain.
But what do you guys do with that complaint?
It needs to be investigated.
Okay, I have a question for you. I know that you made a phone call to someone named Jennifer, and you dismissed the case after Jennifer was a witness, and you didn't actually call the other witness. So how do you dismiss a case in internal affairs when you don't call both witnesses? It's you, Detective Eckert. You were doing the investigation.
That's
so you
right.
spoke to someone named Jennifer. And you didn't follow up with the other witness.
She said she was present the entire time you were there. Okay? The entire interaction. You were present, she was present. Her husband came down momentarily and then went back upstairs.
He saw something, right? That's important. Anything is important.
If he's there, she's there. She has no reason to say anything either way. She is a third party there who's an eyewitness who's making observations.
So do you guys, besides talking, do you guys do anything with internal affairs investigations? Or do you just talk to the people that file the complaints and then like try to keep like filibuster them? Because if you're talking about the complaint for Leah, who I'm representing, then Leah's complaint had a number of violations that were listed out. And Leah hasn't heard from you at all. And the past investigation, on the phone, you stated that policy was broken, but I don't know what was done to fix that. Because you don't transport people while they're in a medical crisis, right? As a prisoner, you wait for medics to show up. Is that correct? I'm just asking your policy, please. Yes or no? Do you transport people who are in the middle of a medical emergency? Do you physically move people who are in the middle of a medical emergency, Detective Eckert?
Somebody is in need of medical emergency, we seek the medical attention for them.
Okay. Do you manipulate their bodies with pain compliance while they're waiting for the ambulance?
I do not know the situation.
What's the procedure? No, I'm just asking yes or no.
I do not know the situation there.
I'm just putting my hand out so I know distance, you know, because I don't want anyone too close to me. Okay. He's there. Do you have in your policy, yes or no, do you physically, forcibly move someone while they are in the middle of a medical emergency? Is that your policy, yes or no? Do you physically, forcibly move someone?
If somebody's experienced a medical emergency, we are instructed to assist them with that medical emergency.
Okay. What training do you have for people going through psychiatric emergencies? When's the last time that training was administered to the officers?
I couldn't tell you.
So they probably don't have any fresh knowledge in their mind about how to handle psychiatric emergencies.
I couldn't answer that.
Right. So I'm going to take that as they don't have. If it's not on the top of your mind, if it's not fresh, then it wasn't recent. So there's no recent training for psychiatric emergencies and how to handle that. So how can I work with you to change that?
I don't know.
Well, I'd like to follow up with you on this.
Okay.
Yes, number one, officers need to know that they do not move people who are in the middle of a psychiatric emergency and need an ambulance. Number two, you do not use pain compliance on someone in a situation where you're not supposed to be moving them to force them to move. So could we start off with those two things?
Okay.
Is that fair? How am I going to know that your officers get that message communicated to them?
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your concerns, your suggestions, bring them to my commander, who will then pass it up along the administration.
What if we stop passing it up and just I talk to you and we do something about it? Like we schedule a training.
But you want
from like let's say the Passaic County, like the department.
I cannot schedule a training. We have a whole separate training division and a commander of that.
So is Hasselberger dealing with that?
I do not know.
Isn't he in charge of use of force training?
Well, he's our training commander.
And he trains people on use of force guidelines. That's on your website.
Yes, that comes through as part of the training.
So he would be an appropriate person to bring into this conversation, correct? Because we're having a conversation about how to improve officers' interactions with people during psychiatric emergencies, right? And we want to see real change. We don't want to just talk about it. We want to actually implement something where officers get the information they need. Right? So would you consider having someone who has psychiatric illness schedule some kind of, let's say, a talk or something to give officers a perspective of what it's like?
At least sit down and have a conversation.
Well, we're having a conversation right now, and this is like, I don't want to reschedule. You know, I'm here now, and you're here now, and it's a beautiful Wednesday afternoon.
But like you mentioned, you know, the lieutenant is the one that's in charge of training.
Scardigno or Hasselberger?
Excuse me?
Scardigno or Hasselberger?
Hasselberger.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't know. He would have to look into who makes this training available. Okay.
Yeah.
When it could be scheduled. Is it something that we could have through something local to where they could come in?
Yeah, Passaic County does have a lot of mental health resources. And there's the Mental Health Association at 404 Clifton Ave. 440, something with 2 4s and a 0.
4s and a 0.
Yeah. So that's in Clifton. There's also the state of New Jersey has a training for peers. It's called CRISP, Certified Recovery Peer Specialist, and that's a program where they train people who have mental illness to work with individuals who have mental illness. CRSP. It's through the state of New Jersey Addictions Licensing Board. And
what does it stand for again?
Certified Peer Recovery Specialist. I would like Clifton Police Department to make a connection with that program and to bring somebody in to address the officers from that program. All right?
What I will do is I'm going to take your concerns. Like I said, I'm going to take them inside, give them to my commander, who it has to go through the administration, right?
Okay.
And at that point, you know, I will, if I could take down your name and your phone number, I could get in touch with you and let you know what sort of progress is being made. Okay.
Well, you have on Leah is accurate.
Okay.
Yes, I appreciate that. So, Detective Eckert, we're going to create a tangible, concrete follow-up training for police officers on mental illness, and we're going to include people who are mentally ill in that training to give a little bit of information, if possible. Is that a shared goal we have? Can we work on that?
Well, I would say any training a police officer can get would be beneficial.
Okay, but I want to make this happen. I don't want to talk about it for eternity.
Unfortunately,
I want you to have my passion carry into your body, woo, and bring it to your lieutenant.
As to what type of training we go to, okay?
Okay.
Would something like this be beneficial? Sure, it would.
I think so. I think your officers would be calmer going into situations when they understand that not everyone is trying to hurt them and not everyone is looking to wish them ill. And if people are angry at police, it's because they want to be treated with dignity and humanity and kindness. And y'all usually have stone cold hearts, and if you don't, you're trained how to by your colleagues, and that is a barrier, but I think we could work with it and we can make a little bit of progress. A little bit more kindness.
You're cautiously optimistic.
Well, it's up to you, right, to pass it on, and then for the people you pass it on to, right, you could poke them a little bit, like, hey, remember, like, we're talking about this?
Want to see if there's some follow-through.
Yeah, and then for clarity, when you do an internal affairs investigation, it just seems to me like that department takes a lot of money and doesn't serve the citizen. So can you convince me otherwise? Like, can you explain to me something about that internal affairs complaint? That how is that processed in your department, and will it serve the citizen who filed the complaint, whatever procedure you go through?
Okay. What specifically were you asking? Like
the complaint that was filed, I guess, on August 8th, how is that going to be handled in your department in a way that benefits the citizen who made the complaint? How are you going to handle your communication with any citizen who makes internal affairs complaint?
Being that this one in specific from August 8th, there's no physical evidence, okay? So we have to conduct
Well,
interview.
no one ever asked for physical evidence to see if there was evidence of physical evidence. No one ever requested
There's
that.
nothing noted in here, okay?
Okay.
And
Wouldn't
so-
you call or message like first thing and be like, hey, I want to get like a follow-up, like more details and find out if like if you really wanted to know if it was like unfounded or not, wouldn't you ask the complainant like just to check that if they have more information rather than assume there's no more information? Let's say any internal affairs complaint, if you open it up and you see no evidence, wouldn't you want to follow up with whoever filed the complaint and request?
The majority of the complaints that come in do not come directly to somebody in my office.
Right, they're handed over by an officer.
Correct.
Yeah.
So at some point, contact is made, right?
Yeah.
To most times just verify what was in the complaint.
And
at that point, if there's something additional, it will be added.
Is there a reason contact isn't made sometimes? Because your words were usually, I think.
Usually we would contact.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know